everybody, really quick. I just wanted to pop in and do a quick shout out before we get to Tom and I discussing our movie for this week. I backed a project called Mr. Howell by T.W. Burgess. Sorry if I mispronounced that. This is a found footage book. Okay. And I backed the project. I'm going to link where you can get your own copy in the description for this episode as well. It came with a little print. It's pretty cute. It's supposed to be like that, just so you know, upside down. Yeah. And so basically I just kind of wanted to promote this a little bit because I think the project is really cool as found footage fans. And I'm always into supporting indie horror, as you guys know. So I just wanted to give this book a quick shout. So this is the cover. The back says, I don't believe in ghosts because ghosts ain't real, but whatever that is, I believe in that. Over 20 years ago, a life-changing injury confines 15-year-old Jay to his cramped apartment high above the city streets below. Tasked with recording his rehabilitation, the budding director immerses himself in the daily lives of the neighbors in the adjacent block, soon becoming engrossed by their routines. But after witnessing a terrible attack on one of the residents, Jay becomes intent on capturing as much evidence as possible on one tenant in particular, a howling, shadowy individual who seemingly only emerges at night, a figure Jay dubs Mr. Howell. This is stunning. So I don't want to give too much away, but I'm going to do a little flip. So it's got some stuff that looks like this and, some stuff like this and some stuff like this. You guys, the formatting and the art and the way that this is set up is absolutely stunning. You really, really need to check this out. If you're a fan of like comic book type stuff, if you're a fan of supporting indie horror, if you're a fan of found footage, you can appreciate this. So yeah, that's all I have. Just wanted to promote this. So if you want to check out and get your own copy of Mr. Howell, there will be a link in this description. I will let past me and Tom take it away from here. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum, and welcome to another episode of Found Footage Fridays with my co-host, Tom Raymer.
Hey, Angel. What's going on? Yeah, we're here.
Good to talk like an interesting found footage film today.
An interesting one I did not know about, but it's new, right? Pretty new?
Yeah, it looks like it was supposed to release or maybe released somewhere in 2022, but I don't think it had like a real release until 2023. So it is relatively new. And I don't think it's a Tubi original, but it is on Tubi, so you can watch it on Tubi.
Now, is this one like a lot of people have been talking about? Is that why you had heard of it, or how did you come across it?
So I was on, whenever we're trying to come up with like what we want to talk about next, or we start getting ready for another set of episodes or whatever, I always I'll go to Tubi sometimes and I'll just look and see. And so this one came up for me, and then I started looking. I looked it up, trying to see if it was going to be, worth the time to watch or whatever. And it came up on some like top list when I Googled it. Like people were really seemed to really enjoy it, especially as like a newer found footage. So I was like, okay, well, we can try it, And then I started watching it, and then I messaged you and said, hey, I'm checking this one out. Yeah. So
okay. All right. I was just curious if this was like sometimes there's ones out there that we talk about that everyone's like yammering on about. So this isn't one of those, but
I don't think so. I haven't seen this anywhere that I don't remember anyway. I don't think so. But yeah, so we're talking the 2022-2023 found footage movie, Day of Disappearance. I'm sitting somewhere different. I still didn't totally mess it up.
You did it. You got it. Good job. You're not new. You've been here before.
Yeah. So the short synopsis is, in September of 2019, a young man named David Hall started a YouTube vlog. 3 months later, on December 1st, marked the last video on the account and was the last time David was ever seen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This one was, I think I have mixed feelings on this one. Okay. Mixed feelings. I don't know. And I know if you do, I think there's a lot about this movie that's, feels kind of new, feels kind of different. I think it does check a lot of like found footage boxes. Like,
Sure.
it is totally a found footage movie, like in the vein of Blair Witch. It sort of reminded me a little bit of, and it's not a mockumentary, but it sort of reminded me a little bit of at least the story in
Mhm.
Horror in the High Desert.
Yeah, I can
You
see
know,
that.
it's a
Yeah.
blogger.
Yeah.
You're seeing all of his footage before he goes missing. So it sort of had that same sort of,
That's true.
how do we get to that point? Because they give you
Mhm.
all the warnings at the beginning. Um,
Yeah.
and it is sort of refreshing to get like an actual found footage, because so many things we talk about on the show are, technically found footage movies, but they're
Mhm.
not. The footage isn't necessarily
Yeah.
found. It's just,
Mhm.
um, part of a mockumentary or something like that. So this is definitely found footage all the way. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, real curious what you thought of this. I got a feeling that maybe you like this one.
I did. I will say this, and I know we'll get more into this when we get to the second half of the show, but I I didn't like this as much after just watching it as I did when I did some research on it. So my opinions on it kind of changed around what I found out like after I watched it, if that
Meaning
makes
you
sense.
liked it more after you
After
found out more information. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So, but no, I mean, I think honestly, one of my biggest complaints, and I think it may be my only really big one because I think this is a big part of the issue. It's too long.
It is too long.
It's
I
almost
agree.
2 hours.
Yes, it's
Like
way too long.
that's
Found
too
footage is
long.
not meant
No.
to be that long.
Yep, it was too long. And while I'm fine with I mean, everything we've probably ever talked about on this show, at some point, minus maybe very few examples, have like filler stuff where it's
Yep.
like about getting to know the character or the setup for the story. And we're like, okay, like we're used to that, right? This had so many scenes that I don't think needed to be in there, and it could have been very condensed. This probably could have been like an hour 15 and been done.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of filler and a
Yes.
lot of just individual scenes and moments that are really stretched out. Um,
Yeah, and it's fine in the beginning, right? Because in the beginning, it's like the story, like I said, setting up the story, telling us what's going on,
mhm.
which actually I thought was really great. I think the setup for this is great.
Yep.
I think that the guy that plays David is great. Like I think he's super believable. I bought into everything. Like I thought that was good. I like some of the bringing in like there's like some past stuff, some family like drama type things and things that come up that I thought all that was fine. But when those scenes, those long scenes that don't really have a lot to do with the scary stuff, once we get to a certain point of found footage, that's all I expect to see. I don't expect to see a lot of that filler.
Yeah. Uh, I didn't have
Mhm.
uh, as much problem with I mean, it was long, and now that you're saying it, I
Yeah.
think it definitely could have been shorter.
Yeah.
My biggest problems, I guess, you could say with this were not the actor. I think the actor was really good. I think you're right. He was very believable.
Mhm.
I didn't love the character though. That makes sense. Like I thought the guy playing the character did a good job. I didn't like the character. Maybe I wasn't supposed to. I don't know, like him, but I didn't love him. Um, and I think towards the end of this movie, without spoiling, there were scenes where the shaky camera thing
Mhm.
got to be like out of control, like and so much so that I had to, like, stop looking at the screen. Like they used to. I think when Blair Witch first came out, people were talking about that and how
I
that
mean,
made them
sick
sick.
or motion sickness.
Motion sickness.
Yeah.
And I don't really have that, and so I
Yeah.
know that's a staple of a lot of found footage movies.
Cloverfield's another one that's really bad.
Yeah, but I thought this was like kind of like off the charts towards the end, like because he was doing a lot of filming. Again, I know why he was trying to get this all on camera. So like,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna ding them for like, why is he holding the camera sort of thing. But like,
Yeah.
he's doing everything while holding the camera. Like he rarely puts the camera down to like look at himself. It's always like, just like it got, especially towards the end as he's running all over the place. It got
Yeah.
nuts. So those are my little complaints.
Yeah.
Small things, but
I think when we get to spoilers and I start pointing out more things I didn't like, I really do think it's all going to be chalked up to scenes being too long, because I think like you lose the magic of the scene of certain things. And I'll give more examples when we dive in. But it's one of those things where it's like it works, but it only works if it's short.
yeah.
If it's too long, then there's like specific things that happen to him specifically that was too drawn out for me. And then that made it hard for those scenes to really like, to be effective, you know?
There's one scene in particular, also, I will say, I guess this was maybe my biggest negative, and where I sort of felt like my rating might change a little bit for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
There's one scene that was a little too real for me. And I think there's like method acting is a thing, and I think you can take it too far. Sometimes, you know what I'm talking.
I do. I think that was real.
I do too.
I don't think that was fake, but yes,
and
I know what you're talking about.
I feel like
I thought the same thing.
It wasn't necessary. Like you could have done that scene without actually doing it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like there are lots of ways you could have done that. And so it made me just kind of go like, but why?
Yeah.
Why? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I know I know exactly what scene you're talking about, because I had the same thought. I was like, that looks real. Is this real? Like I'm
pretty sure it was real. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was real. Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, what's the purpose? Like, yeah.
You could have just woke up with those things and not had. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, want to do ratings?
Absolutely.
You want to go first?
You want to go first, or you want me to go first?
It doesn't matter. I can go first.
Go ahead. Yeah, go. Okay. You go.
So I'm gonna give you my 2 ratings, obviously, but my second one's gonna be the one I'm sticking with. But my first rating is based off the first watch with none of the information I learned after the fact. I'd probably would have given this like a 4.5 or a 5.
That's what you're gonna give it. Okay.
Originally. Then I did some research and found out some stuff and did some things. And because of that, and I wish their marketing had just been better, because I think it changes the experience quite a bit. I'm gonna bump it up to a 6.
Okay.
6.
I can't wait to hear what you read that I did not.
Yeah, I'm excited to share it with you, but it's like massive spoiler stuff, so I'll have to wait until we get to spoilers.
All right. Good to know.
What about you?
Yeah. What was your final thing was like a 6 or a 6.5? Is that what you said?
I'll leave it with a 6. Yeah, a 6.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty close.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with a 5.5.
Oh, okay. That's higher than I thought you were going to.
Yeah, 5.5. Okay. So like middle of the road, a little slightly above average found footage.
Yeah.
6 out of 10 takes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's good. I mean, it's good. It's definitely a very watchable found footage film. It, as I said earlier, checks a lot of boxes for someone who's looking for this sort of thing. I mean, there's things I thought could have been better, which we're going to talk about probably in more detail here. But like overall, it's a decent movie.
Yeah, and it's free. You can watch it on Tubi.
Free.
So
yep.
it's that always is incentive to check out things that are kind of middle ground. I think like when I hear people say, "Oh, this was pretty good, but it wasn't super great, but it's on Tubi," then I'm like, "All right, give it a chance." You know what I mean? Yeah. Okay. So, want to spoil?
Yeah, let's do it. So it's a date. What is his name? David
Hall.
He goes to Hawaii, and he's like sort of returning there. I guess he hasn't been there since he was a kid, right? And
yeah, because that's like the house he grew up in or something.
The house he grew up in, but at some point when he was a kid, his mother took him away to live in California, I think. But he hasn't been back. And his aunt still lives there.
She's like super old though. Like, yeah.
And he wants to film this whole return to his childhood home for his grandmother, who's like at some point is going into a which you learn later on. And so he's filming all this and putting it up online for her to see or something like that.
And then he gets on one day and he has like some subscribers, and then that's when he decides to turn it into like a full-on vlog.
Now he's not he's not really supposed to be like a content creator, right? Like he's just a
No,
guy.
he's a
Yeah,
very, like, noob, kind of, like, doesn't really know what he's doing,
right.
kinda, like, thing. I mean, because we even see, like, the upgrade in equipment. He's like, "Oh, this is gonna be so much better than my old phone," and
Yeah,
because he wasn't expecting that, but then when he saw that he had random subscribers, he was like, "Oh," and then it kinda, like
but there's definitely he's definitely like awkward, with the camera, like, and he just doesn't come across as like in a lot of these movies, it's like a seasoned pro content creator
like
sort of
us.
leadership. Oh yeah, like us, of course, yeah. Um, but he doesn't. So he does not come across quite like that.
Mm,
He's like very
no.
awkward and like,
Yes.
uh, and just the long. There's some mystery around his father. You're slowly
Who
figuring out
died.
who's died before his mother
Yeah.
moved away. His mother also died when he was young, mysterious
Yeah, because his
reason.
grandma raised him, I think,
His
right?
grandmother raised him. Yep.
Yep.
And but as he's here, as he's sort of just like randomly filming himself going to school and other things, some weird stuff starts happening around the house, including this effect, I would say, or this thing they use over and over again in the movie, where he'll be talking and he'll move, and there'll be a
Something
shape
behind them.
with a weird sort of
Mask.
mask. Was that what it's
Well,
supposed to
it's
be?
I think it's supposed to be kind of folklore a little bit because he
Yeah,
looks into, like, there's a scene where he goes to the library and he, like, looks up, like, like Hawaiian,
right.
folklore or something to that effect, and I think that is I will say I do think that's a bit of a weakness because they only bring that up, like, once, and then it's,
We
like,
need to talk that
never
up
brought
more.
up again, so then
Yeah.
you're just like, "Well, is it or isn't it?"
There's a dark shape with a weird face on it,
Yeah,
that you see appear every now and again. Um, so yeah, that's sort of just he starts seeing it and starts investigating it. His
right.
camera starts turning on by itself in the middle of the night. He's like sleepwalking and other things like that. So he investigates it. He wants to investigate what really happened to his dad. They don't even know where his dad is or where he was buried or anything like that. So
Yeah.
it just sort of starts spiraling from there.
Yeah, and then as he looks, like, more into, the stuff with his dad, he learns that his dad was never declared dead. He's at they
Right.
put him as missing because, like you said, they didn't know where he was, like,
Yeah.
um yeah, it's interesting because, like, okay, so the first thing that kinda got me was well, I think it might be the only thing, but the one scene that I thought was really good that I wished they had done maybe not the exact same thing, but just kept that, like, mystery of was, the very first time he notices there's something behind him and it's
Yeah.
pitch black and you just see eyes moving? That
Yeah.
was creepy.
That was very creepy. Yeah.
Like, when that happened, like, I have goosebumps. When that happened, I was like, "Oh, what is that gonna end up being?"
Yeah.
Like, but
Yeah.
then we kept seeing it over, and it
Over
became
and
like and it looks human in essence, so I was just kind of like, "Oh." Like,
yeah,
it was
you could. I mean, we knew how they're doing the effects, right? Like you could tell there's someone who's like ducked down, and the second he moves away, they're
it's
standing up.
perfect,
Like,
it's just
yeah,
timing. But
yeah,
that clip, though, where you don't see anything, and then you just see those
that
eyes move, I was
that
like,
was great.
"Ooh,"
Yeah,
that was creepy. That was really well shot. I liked that shot a lot.
yeah. Um,
Um,
he,
but yeah, I think the other thing so when I was saying earlier about how, like, there's these specific things that I'm thinking about scene wise that are too extended, the possession stages scenes or
yeah,
whatever, they were too long. Like, he got
yeah,
up and he stood there and then he walked to the door and I'm like, I know they're trying to do, like, paranormal activity, but, like, that's already been done. Like, it doesn't need to be this, like, extended 5-minute scene of
yeah.
him, like, walking around not doing anything. Like,
That
we
was
get
like
it.
some of the weakest. Those
I
were some of the weakest elements
I
because
actually wish they had just left the possession element out of it altogether.
it didn't actually fit with the rest of the movie.
It really did not.
I, I mean, again, unless there's more with the lore we were supposed to know,
I
they didn't
Yeah,
feed that to us. So
yeah,
all of a sudden he was getting possessed, which
mhm,
felt like very different than the rest of the film, and it was confusing. And
yeah,
again, that's a very cliche sort of found because of Paranormal Activity. We've sort of seen this many times
over and
before.
over again,
Yeah.
especially since then, because how many movies have done it since? I think it would have been better to make this like if it was going to be an entity, which I think is what it's supposed to be. I definitely obviously supernatural, but I think the him just being taken by something like that is fine. Like I don't think there
Sure.
needs to be a possession element because like you said, it doesn't tie in at the end of it. It could have just I just feel like that part could have been done different. I didn't like that part about it.
Yeah. I agree.
I did like the final shot as well. I thought that was pretty good.
Yep.
The way they made the whatever, the entity, the
Yeah,
thing
that
look,
was fine. That
I
was
thought
good.
that was good. But I just think seeing the whole thing so many times, it's like we talk about this all the time. It's like you become desensitized and you're like, oh, it's gonna be behind him when he moves. Like you're able to
It
predict.
happened a lot. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
In that, he starts getting possessed a lot. He starts driving
Oh
while
yeah.
possessed,
Yeah. Mhm.
yet somehow still puts a camera on in his car to record himself driving
While
possessed.
being possessed.
Mm, my
Well,
biggest I have such a this is reminds me of a really small problem. So okay, and I think this was the actor's choice, and they just kept it in the movie. But so he decides to sleep out in the living room or whatever.
yes.
And at first, he's not possessed, but he is hearing the door open in the middle of the night. He's jumping up and trying to catch whatever it is. And every time he gets up, it's in the middle of the night. He thinks there's an intruder in his house, and he puts his hat on every time.
Oh,
And I'm sorry, but like, if someone was
that's not a
breaking
priority.
into my house, I would be like, "Hold on a second, I want to put my hat on."
I'll be
Like,
right there.
I don't know, like, and to be fair, when he was getting possessed, he didn't put his hat on. Like that, I was half expecting that. Like he
Yeah,
still put it, but
it's
he
true.
did when possessed. Turn the camera on in his car, unless it was already running.
Which there's no indication of that though at any other point in the film.
Right. So I
Yeah.
don't
I
know, a little thing.
well, and you were
Um,
talking about this earlier, but do you want to talk about the method acting, the thing you were just
so
talking
yeah. So one of the last times he gets possessed and goes for a drive, he ends up on some like cliff or something with a bunch
Yeah.
of rocks.
Yeah.
And there's this symbol that has appeared and is important in this movie, and it looks like a U.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so, while possessed, he takes a rock and starts carving the U's into his arm. But it looks like, to me, unless it's just really great special effects, and if
I
it is, then it is. But it looks like they had the actor actually like carving the letters into his arms with a sharp rock,
yeah.
drawing blood and that sort of thing. And I know it looks real. So I guess that's the argument. Like, oh, it looks real, so we did it because it is real. Probably. I mean, I'm guessing it's real. But like, why? Like, you didn't need to actually hurt your actor. I'm sure the actor was part of it and it was his choice. But
Yeah.
it actually had like a negative effect for me because I
It's
was
too well, it's like
too much.
it's too much. Yeah, because I literally had the exact same thought though. I was watching him do it and I'm watching the line show up and I'm like, that looks real.
Yeah.
And like, and I think it would have been just as simple to have him like wake up holding the rock with the marks on his arms. It gets the same message across.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think, yeah, because I thought, yeah, that was a bit much. The U comes up. Where does it come up? It shows up on the mirror.
Yeah.
It comes up in the chat, or no, one of his videos gets a comment,
Yeah. The person's name is you. Yeah.
something with you in it.
Yeah.
And it's like, so it's like, okay, like, oh, my dad has the same marks. Cool. But like, you could have just woke up with them and had makeup. You know what I mean? Like, you don't
Or
have
they could
to.
have showed him like, I don't know. Yeah, you could have put like red paint on a rock, and I don't know, like it didn't have to be real. You didn't actually have to have the
And if
you
you're
carved
watching
on the
this
rock.
and you worked on this, or you know for a fact it wasn't, please inform us. Let us know in the
Yeah,
comments. But it definitely looked real to me. Between the way he was moving, the sounds he was making, like it didn't match the other acting skills. So I feel like
I'm sure there are examples in movies where this sort of thing happens. This sort of method, I'm gonna call it method acting,
I
but
mean, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
like where But like I would say, probably for the most part, if someone gets injured in a movie, they're not
It's fake.
actually injuring the
Yeah.
actor, like intentionally,
Yeah.
at least.
This
Uh,
was this was a little overwhelming. I agree.
yeah. So that was probably my biggest negative with the movie.
Yeah.
Um,
So, do you want me to tell you all the stuff I found after?
I would love to hear. Yeah, I'm really curious.
So I looked it up because at the end of it, it gives you this little note that's like all the videos are still up on David's YouTube. And I was like,
I saw that. Yeah.
are they? There's a YouTube channel that was made back in 2019. And the last video that was uploaded was December 31st or December 1st.
Wow.
All the YouTube episodes are short clips, which, if you combine them, are the movie basically, minus the the sections where they do the words or whatever. Yep. And they are spaced apart to match the dates in the movie.
Interesting.
And not only that, but if you go into some of the comments under them, I'm pretty sure, made other accounts to comment and say, no, like he really went missing. And there's like all these like multiple comments under multiple videos that this is a real story, that this guy really went missing. And then I think, if I'm remembering correctly, I'm pretty sure I saw like 1 or 2 comments from you, like the character.
That's creepy. Yeah.
Okay. So then you can go to the website that's called, like, I don't even know. I'm going to find the email they sent me though, because I subscribed to their newsletter.
Wait, whose newsletter did you subscribe to?
The people who made the film. Let's see if I can remember which email.
Well, now, who are they supposed to be? The people who made the film?
They're just documentary people, I think. Hold on, I'll tell you exactly where. What is it? David Hall. There we go. Okay, it must be my voice's email. I couldn't remember if it was my personal or not. David Hall. Okay, so the website is Find David, I think. Info, and then the website is finddavidhall.com. So I signed up. So I went to the website. It's got all this information about what to do if you have any information on him, because he's a missing person for real. And then I subscribed to their newsletter because I was like, why not? And it says, greetings. Thank you for subscribing to Find David Hall, to the Find David Hall email list. We believe David is still alive, and our number one goal is to bring him home. Please help us spread the awareness and tell David's story. The more people who know, the more likely it is that David will be found. If you have not already, please watch and share David's movie, Day of Disappearance. This has been our greatest tool in getting his story out to the masses. And then it's got a link of where you can go to watch it. We will periodically be sending out new news information and possible leads in our search for finding David. Thank you again. And as always, please let us know if there's any information you have. Sincerely, Team David. P.S. You'll love this. Oh my God, you'll love this. P.S. They did find one of David's phones, and we are toying with the thought of releasing more footage and or photos that were found on the phone. Our subscribers will be the first to know. Stay tuned. That's kind of crazy though, isn't it?
So they're doing the Blair Witch thing.
Yes, but the YouTube channel, they set it up specifically for the dates, and they did it way in advance before they plan on releasing the movie.
That's interesting.
That's crazy.
So if you go on, here's what I want to know now. If you go on IMDb, do they list him as an actor?
Nope.
No, they don't?
I don't think so. I'm going to look really quick, but I'm pretty sure I looked. I thought the same thing, and I'm pretty sure I went and looked. Oh, wait, it's already up. Duh, because I was just looking at it. Yeah.
There's no cast listed at all?
No. It just has the two names, David Hall and Auntie K. That's it. And I looked up this director because I was like, oh, okay, like what has he done? And I'm pretty sure he hasn't done much of anything. No.
Interesting.
Weird, right?
Yeah. I mean, I assume it's not real. They would have put it on Tubi with found footage movies if it was actually real.
Yeah, I was trying to see.
But it's doing the found footage thing, right? It's making you question whether or not it's actually real.
Yeah.
But
But I thought it was like it was really cool though that they had gone through all that effort. Like they made the YouTube channel and everything, and like
Wow. Yeah. I mean that, but so like, yeah, when Blair Witch first came out, they didn't have this technology, but they made a website, right? And
yeah.
there was supposed to be about these missing hikers, you know?
Yeah, and I don't think this hits the same for obvious reasons. I think because
No.
Blair Witch did this when internet was like just becoming a big thing, right?
Yeah.
But I
Yep.
will say, I think they did themselves a disservice by not marketing this as an upcoming documentary about a missing person. Like if they were going to go through these links to make it feel real,
Yeah.
they really probably should have done things like posting about the story or getting people to come over to the website or but I have to say though, I can't think of another movie, and feel free to tell me if I'm missing something, but I can't think of another movie that went to that extreme to make something feel real since the Blair Witch.
Not that I can think of.
But the Blair Witch made people know about it beforehand.
Yeah, they have. Well, yeah, they did.
And this isn't like they didn't market any of this, I don't feel
And
like.
what's interesting is if this is supposed to be, this is different than Blair Witch. Right? Blair Witch was supposed to be just the footage, and they put it out there. This is supposed to be like a documentary team put this together. Well, then why isn't it a mockumentary? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
why didn't they turn it into a documentary
And you
of
can
some kind?
literally go to that YouTube channel, to the David Hall YouTube, and watch all the videos. They're all split up, into the smaller sections that we see in the movie, but they're just all in a row. I thought that was crazy.
Really weird. Yeah, that's intense. I mean, it matches with the scene that we talked about that was felt over the top. So, hmm, hmm,
Wild, right? I
makes you
looked
think.
into it. I was like,
Yeah, I'd love to know more
I
about
was
this.
like, David Hall's YouTube. I was like, why not? And then I went and looked at it, and then it sent me down this rabbit hole of like, obviously, I signed up for their newsletter. So
Obviously, yeah.
if
Wow.
I go missing, it's real. Yeah. I just thought that was crazy. Like, I haven't seen anything try that hard to feel real since the Blair Witch.
No, that's
So,
it. That's it. Yeah, because I don't know. Yeah, because of Blair Witch, it's going to be nearly impossible for anyone to do it
yeah, it's
effectively. But here we are, talking about it. Hmm.
mm, yeah.
I'm surprised. I bet since this I think was just released on Tubi recently,
Mhm.
I feel like we're going to start seeing more people discover this.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think people who like the stuff that tries to be real will really get a kick out of it, to be
Yeah,
honest, because
I think you're right.
there's and maybe that's why it's so much unnecessary footage is because it's in real life we film all kind of stuff no one else would care about. I don't know, like maybe maybe that's like part of the
I think
realness, but
that is yes. I think that's
but
it.
no, I thought this was pretty good. Like I think I appreciated the effort that went into setting this up to seem real because as someone who's never heard of it, when I go looking at it, and they've even got people commenting from random usernames like, no, like he's really missing. You're just kind of like, is he?
Well,
There's
like I get that. So okay, so if he really is missing, why is this in under horror movies on Tubi? Like,
sure.
you know what I mean? That would be my one argument, which would be kind of weird if that's where they wanted it to live and exist. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but go out, watch Dave Disappearance, and decide for yourself.
Mhm.
Fact or fiction?
It's on Tubi. Yeah. Cool. Well,
What's
what are we
next?
talking next week?
Apollo 18.
Angel is so excited. I'm excited.
Well, we don't say anything about it. If you want to know more about what Apollo 18 is,
Yep.
maybe go watch it first and then
Mhm.
tune in and hear us talk about it next week, next
Mhm.
Friday.
Yep, it's on Tubi, and if you have YouTube Red, which I do, you can watch it on YouTube with no ads, but
Ooh,
otherwise it's on Tubi.
okay.
All right,
Can't wait.
all right, well, that's all we have for this episode of Found Footage Fridays. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy your week coming up, and Tom and I will see you next week.
See you next week.